breaking news happening now. This is Wave News.
And good morning, everybody. I'm Rob Wells with a breaking news alert that also affects your morning commute to tell you about the southbound lanes of Dixie Highway. We've learned just outside the Waterson. They are shut down right now because of what we learned is a deadly crash. This is all happening right now near San Jose Avenue. Shively police say that a woman who was walking on Dixie Highway was hit by a car. We have learned and confirmed that the driver remained on the scene of that accident. Still, you'll want to avoid that area while crews continue to investigate exactly what led up to that crash. We will keep you posted. Ladies, over to you.
Thank you. 7 o'clock right now on this Thursday and another cold start.
Yeah, and you could still be dealing with some ice on those roads too because it is still below freezing this morning.
Yeah, it is very, very cold. Anything that melted yesterday definitely will be ice this morning. So just be extra careful on those sidewalks, anywhere that may not have been plowed immediately, or even just right next to those giant piles of snow, you could end up with a little bit of ice in those spots. So be extra careful, especially with a lot of these kids heading back to school today. 6 degrees in Corydon, 5 in Northford, and 12 in Madison. So you warmed up a bit there. 14 into E-Town and 12 degrees still at the airport in Louisville. Speaking of Louisville, we're looking from downtown into Spaghetti Junction, and things are relatively quiet in terms of the weather, but of course a lot more traffic on the roads this morning. We're going to continue to monitor some of these clouds just drifting on by to start off the day. Others seeing some beautifully blue skies this morning, but everybody will get in on the clouds by the afternoon as we return to the 20s for your highs. And then we'll see some flurries flying as well for the afternoon and evening. Olivia?
Oh, thanks, Tawana. Well, it's been nearly 2 weeks since the winter storm hit Louisville. Most of the city has returned to normal, but empty mailboxes and overflowing trash bins in some neighborhoods tell the different story. Some corners of the community have been unable to fully clear frozen snow off their streets. Betty Martin says she's not had mail delivered since January 29th, and she's stressed over the potential documents that could get lost. She says it's why she reached out to the Okolona post office, but the interaction left her with more frustration than answers.
When I called and made a complaint with the main post office, and then she sends me this saying that the request number has been resolved, and I haven't talked to anybody.
USPS responded to our request for comment, saying mail delivery will be attempted only in areas where roads are passable and safe. Some neighbors' trash service has also not reached their street for the past 2 weeks. We reached out to one service, Hometown Waste Removal, and we're waiting to hear back. JCPS returns to its regular schedule today and tomorrow, but numerous school districts across Kentucky still aren't sending kids back to school the rest of the week. That's as the winter weather has left those roads too icy and unsafe for buses.
So this marks 2 weeks of no in-person learning for some communities. School leaders and state lawmakers are talking about whether or not they need to change school calendars. Many districts in the Commonwealth with rural roads are still reporting problems from the ice and snow. Right now, districts are limited to 10 NTI days per school year. Legislative leadership says there have been no formal requests to increase NTI days or offer alternatives, but some lawmakers are against granting them.
Well, I'm only one person, but my response would be, let's keep it the way it is. And we're just going to do it the old school way and add time on to the end of the year.
Nothing can replace that in-seat time with a student and with a teacher.
A spokesperson for the Kentucky Department of Education says they're monitoring the days missed and may consider asking lawmakers for more flexibility if those trends continue. We have a list of districts on virtual learning on wave3.com.
Today, opening statements are scheduled to start in the trial for a suspect charged in the Harvest Homecoming shooting. The jury's been selected in 19-year-old Isaiah Page's murder trial. Page is accused of being part of a gunfight that led to the death of 18-year-old Bryce Gerlach at the 2024 Harvest Homecoming Festival. 2 others were injured in that shooting. State prosecutors said they plan to argue Page is guilty of killing Gerlach, even if he wasn't Page's target. Page's attorneys believe there's not enough evidence to prove Page is guilty of murder. The trial will get underway this morning at 9 o'clock with full opening statements. Meanwhile, 4 other men have already been sentenced for their roles in the Harvest Homecoming shooting. Last November, Shermichael Smith was sentenced to 9 years. Before him, Darius Tuff was sentenced to 37 years. Joshua Smith was punished with 10 years, and Demarius Gardner person was sentenced to 7 years. Prosecutors say altogether there are 12 people charged in connection to the shooting, but only 5 have been publicly identified because the others are minors.
LMPD hopes expanding its drone program will strengthen public safety throughout the city.
Chief Paul Humphrey says he wants to double the department's fleet. Rob Wells is here with details. Rob?
Hi, Olivia. There are now 14 drones in the trunks of police cars in all different parts of the city. They're ready to deploy at any time. Chief Humphrey says that increasing that number of drones would provide 24-hour coverage in every LMPD division. The chief used a Saturday night burglary at Doss High School as a prime example. A drone launched on location by an officer trained as a drone pilot not only helped officers locate the suspect as he ran away from the school, but the drone also located evidence that was hidden within the snow.
This has just absolutely taken off for us. It's a piece of technology that we thought was going to be beneficial, but we are already seeing it pay off in dividends.
The chief adding that the drones are important tools that help to take offenders off the street, and they do it in a safer way. When the drone program first launched, LMPD said that the technology would only be used during investigations and not as surveillance. The city has committed $1 million to the drones as first responders program. That system is launched and piloted remotely by Metro Safe for use by LMPD and Louisville Fire. Shannon.
Thank you, Rob. This morning, voters in the Indiana Democratic Party are remembering former Congressman Lee Hamilton. He died Tuesday at the age of 94. Hamilton was a 17-year congressman who served southern Indiana from 1965 to 1999. In addition to his long political career, he was the vice chair of the 9/11 Commission. He was given the Medal of Freedom by President Barack Obama in 2015. Indiana State Representative Wendy Dant-Chesser says Hamilton's leadership was respected across the country.
We just assumed all elected officials carried that air about them of respect and compromise and really doing what's best for the long game. And I think that it was hard for us to appreciate how good we had it with him as the role model that he has been.
Senator Todd Young of Indiana tweeted about the passing of Lee Hamilton, and he released this message saying Indiana lost a giant today. Lee Hamilton was a statesman, a respected voice on national security, and a strong advocate for Hoosiers. He was also a friend, an insightful writer, and a unique voice on the institution of Congress. My deepest condolences to Lee's family and loved ones as they celebrate his remarkable life. Funeral arrangements have not yet been completed. Governor Mike Braun has ordered flags to be flown at half-staff in honor of Lee Hamilton.
A Kentucky bill to give more authority and power to the JCPS superintendent is moving to the House. The Senate passed the bill that would hand Superintendent Dr. Brian Yearwood more power over daily operations and management in the district. Right now, the school board is in charge of that part. Instead, the school board will be in charge of long-term strategies. Dr. Yearwood strongly opposes the bill, saying it could damage his relationship with the board. Sponsor of the bill, Senator David Givens, says it would improve student performance in the district and keep the budget more on track.
Us as legislators are responsible for the performance happening across the state and in the Jefferson County public school system.
That's not something that I want, because I'm working with a great board. We're rowing in the same direction.
A similar bill was passed in 2022, but it was struck down by the state Supreme Court, who ruled it was unconstitutional because it didn't specify why JCPS should be treated differently than other school districts in the state.
U of L women's basketball back in action at the KFC Yum Center tonight. The Cards taking on Duke in a big game here. An ACC matchup. Both teams are currently undefeated in conference play this season. The winner tonight will then be in first place in the conference. U of L on a 14-game winning streak. Duke on a 13-game winning streak. Tip-off 7 o'clock tonight, and the game will be aired on ESPN. And by the way, the men's team won last night, too.
Yeah, exciting to see that.
Yeah. Family of Nancy Guthrie has now spoken out with an emotional message.
Here today's show host Savannah Guthrie's response to the alleged ransom notes and the latest on the investigation.
Super Bowl Sunday. Get ready for it. Just a couple days away. You can watch the game right here on Wave. And of course, in addition to the game, it's about the commercials, the halftime show, and the food.
And there are plenty of places that will be celebrating and airing all of that, like the Fox Den. They even have some new dishes and drinks to get you in the spirit for the game. Wave News reporter Marissa Berg joins us from the Fox Den.
Oh, okay. That one was good. That wasn't bad. That wasn't bad.
Got a pool shark over here.
I'm at the Fox Den with Jared Fox, who has a lot of fun for people to enjoy. They come out here for Super Bowl Sunday. You got pool, but you also have great food and some great drinks.
Man, I tell you what, you're making it sound cool. So, yeah, absolutely. You know, every day we always have our full menu with burgers and pizzas and all that. For Super Bowl, but I always tell people, why have a house party? We have to do the cleanup. Come to us, let us do the cooking, let us do the cocktails. So we have, as you see over here, these are our Seattle street dogs right here. Cream cheese, kind of crazy. All beef hot dogs, grilled onions, sauerkraut, mustard, jalapeno, New England clam chowder. We got the Boston Tea Party cocktails. We got all kinds of stuff.
And you guys are doing a special raffle too if people order these menu items.
Yeah. So if you order, say you order the Boston Tea Party cocktail and the dogs, you get 2 tickets to enter into a raffle. And during halftime, we will draw the ticket, and whoever wins gets this Maker's Mark dip football.
Ooh,
so, yeah.
I like always having that Kentucky bourbon spin on stuff.
Absolutely. You got to have bourbon. Yeah.
Exactly. And all the fun kicks off on Sunday. What time? We know what time kickoff for the game is. What time does the party kick off?
So we open at 11 a.m. So I tell you what, back in my 20s when we used to do Super Bowl parties, we used to come in here at 11 a.m. and we would do like a tournament, like where we do pool, ping pong, and foosball, me and my buddies. So yeah, we'd be up here all day. And then
is that what's going to happen on Sunday?
Well, yes, for some people. Okay. I'll break it a little bit later, you know. So.
Okay, so guys, if you are interested in trying out some of these items to really get you into the Super Bowl spirit, you can head over to the Fox Den on Sunday. Marissa Burke, Wave News. Now we got to get back to this game.
Let's do it. All right.
Thanks, guys. And that hot dog does look good, doesn't
I
it?
love a hot dog, but I changed my mind on my favorite Super Bowl food.
Okay.
Nachos. How did I forget about nachos? You can throw anything on those.
Yeah, true.
I saw a recipe for like some sheet pan nachos, and I'm like, that might be the way to go to make everything a lot easier, especially with cleanup.
Yeah. Hey, you can make buffalo chicken dip to go on nachos.
Oh, I think
I'm telling you, Tawana, I'm onto something.
You know what? You might have a point. We're supposed to be heading out this morning. Now that we're all thinking about, Super Bowl food, we're dealing with temperatures in the single digits and the low teens. 5 right now in Jeffersonville, so you've warmed up. That's nice. 6 degrees still in Gordon, 12 at the airport in Louisville, 14 into E-Town, and 9 degrees right now in Frankfurt across the metro, seeing a mixture of those single digit temperatures and low teens. 4 degrees right now in Crestwood, 8 in PRP, but 13 here at Wave News, and 8 degrees right now in Sellersburg. We are keeping an eye on some clouds overhead for some, but not all of us. Peaking over Spaghetti Junction, you can see some of those clouds overhead right now, matching up with what we're seeing on the satellite and radar. And if you have the clouds around this morning, most likely you could also see some flurries flying in your area, since we are just so cold, and that cold air just squeezing any bit of moisture it can out of the atmosphere. High pressure high pressure is in full control of our weather for today, but we will watch those clouds continuing to increase through the rest of the morning and into the afternoon. More of these flurries possible through the afternoon and evening hours. Now, once we get into the second half of the day, this is when we'll add back in a little bit of that warmth, only a little bit though, jumping into the 20s for afternoon highs, and then we'll see temperatures hovering in those 20s overnight before we warm up even more getting into your Friday. Now, the temperatures across the region, especially as we head through each portion of wave country, will play a big role in the type of precipitation that we see. It does look like everything will start off as snow tomorrow morning, and then we switch over to a mix, which could just fizzle to just drizzle by the time we reach the afternoon, and then we'll watch for some more snow getting into your Friday night. So still watching for that little bit of snow, freezing rain, and drizzle for the Friday morning commute. We'll keep an eye on any potential impacts that come along with that. Things try to dry out as we get into your Friday afternoon, and then Friday night, some more of those showers moving in. Initially a mix, switching over to snow as temperatures drop, and then we'll keep some scattered snow showers for very late Friday night to early Saturday with moisture coming off of the Great Lakes. So in terms of any accumulations, most of us not seeing much, a dusting to a coating of snow at best, but northeast of the metro over towards the Cincinnati areas where we have a better chance to see less than an inch of snow. And that is it, since the ground will be a little bit warmer as temperatures rise on Friday. Now, after those flurries move out Saturday morning, we're sunshine by Saturday afternoon, keeping an eye on a system nearby on Sunday. Then as we head into next week, more of those 50s coming our way. That'll be nice and warm up just a bit, but more rain in the forecast as well as those warmer temperatures arrive. Olivia.
Thanks, Tawana. We're hearing from the Guthrie family as they still wait for answers about the disappearance of their mother, Nancy Guthrie. They released an emotional video last night.
And they mentioned possible ransom notes saying they are willing to talk. They want reassurance their mother is safe and alive with the knowledge that voices and video can easily be manipulated.
Our mom is our heart and our home. She is 84 years old. Her health, her heart is fragile. She lives in constant pain. She is without any medicine. She needs it to survive. She needs it not to suffer. We too have heard the reports about a ransom letter in the media. As a family, we are doing everything that we can. We are ready to talk. We love you, Mom.
Love you, Mom. We love you, Mom. Stay strong.
We love you, Mom. We love you.
Nancy Guthrie, the mother of Savannah, has been missing since Sunday. Investigators believe she was taken unwillingly from her Tucson, Arizona home. The FBI special agent in charge of the case, Heath Janke, was at Annie Guthrie's home on Tuesday. That's where it's believed that the family filmed their video statement that was posted to Instagram. We'll have much more on this. Police are expected to hold a press conference later today. Hundreds gathered in Tucson for a candlelight vigil last night honoring Nancy Guthrie. The community got together in prayer and support for the family. It came together in less than 24 hours, organized by one of Savannah's close friends. Nancy Guthrie was born in Kentucky and went to University of Kentucky, but her family has deep roots in Tucson.
We needed a place to come together, and so a vigil popped into my head, and I know both Nancy and Savannah are very faithful, and I just feel like even if people don't pray, I feel like people want to do something. And if they can come together and share hugs and share stories, then that might make it a little easier.
Organizers say the response from the community was overwhelming, with people arriving throughout the night to pray, sing, and stand together in a moment of unity.
The man convicted of trying to assassinate then presidential candidate Donald Trump has been sentenced to life in prison. A federal judge in Florida handed down the sentence Wednesday. Prosecutors had pushed for him to get life. Ryan Routh has an attorney now, but represented himself during the trial. Prosecutors say Routh laid in wait for President Trump with a gun at his West Palm Beach golf course in 2024. Agents were able to spot Routh before he was able to fire any shots.
Still ahead, while men on both the Seahawks and Patriots prepare to take the field for this year's Super Bowl, one woman is prepping for behind the scenes.
We'll tell you how she's making history this year for women. That's next. The UK women's basketball team will be in action tonight in a tough one, hosting the 7th-ranked Vanderbilt Commodores. The Cats come into this one finally snapping their 3-game losing streak and a 20-point win at Arkansas on Sunday. Vanderbilt, with a 21-2 record, also snapped a 2-game losing streak over the weekend against Florida. Big Blue Nation will be able to collect a limited edition Clara Strack poster, the third piece of the season poster set. It's also Youth Sports Night and the annual Boy Scouts game. Tip-off is set for 7 o'clock, and you can watch it on the SEC Network.
The countdown's on for the Patriots to take on the Seahawks in this year's Super Bowl on Sunday. We know this isn't either team's first time playing in the big game.
But our eyes will be on one engineer who's accomplishing a first, not just for herself, but for all women. Brenna Rogers will be the first woman to engineer a Super Bowl radio broadcast this Sunday. Rogers is the broadcast engineer for the Bump and Stacy show on Seattle Sports 710. This Sunday, she'll be in the booth for the Super Bowl engineering the play-by-play. She says this week has been a reminder to her that she's a trailblazer, and she likes to think that she's the first, but not the last.
It's a really hard field to get into for women, and add on top of that the STEM aspect, and it's even harder. And so it's like I got my foot in the door, and now I'm going to hold the door open for everyone behind me.
Big congrats to her there. Over in Maine, one man is getting ready to make his final trip to the football's biggest stage.
Now, for most people, a trip to the Super Bowl is a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Not the case for Don Chrisman. It's been his tradition for nearly 6 decades. The lifelong Patriots fan has been to every single Super Bowl game since 1967. He's seen his team win it all 6 times. He has several autographed footballs and jerseys from the big game, too, from over the years. Now he's nearly 90 years old. He says that his trips to the Super Bowl will be coming to the end. He says this Super Bowl 60 will be his last. But I don't know, maybe, 90 can still be young, and maybe he should still go.
I mean, maybe, but I didn't have a preference in this game. I think I'm pulling for the Patriots just for him, though.
Yes, yeah. We'll be right back.
This Wave News update is sponsored by Oxmoor Auto Group.
And good morning, I'm Rob Wells. Glad to have you along with us at 726. We do have a breaking traffic alert to pass along this Thursday morning. The southbound lanes of Dixie Highway, just outside the Waterson, they are shut down because of a deadly crash. This is all happening near San Jose Avenue. Shiley police say that a woman who was walking along Dixie Highway, we've learned was hit by a car. The driver did remain on scene, but of course you'll want to avoid that area this morning while crews continue to investigate exactly what led up to that crash. Tawana.
Thanks, Rob. What we're seeing across the region for this morning will be a little bit more of those cold temperatures in our area, seeing a lot of these single digits and low teens. 6 degrees still for those of you in Cordon. You're actually up to 5 degrees in Jeffersonville, 9 in Frankfort, 12 at the airport in Louisville. We're peeking into Starlight, Indiana, where you have some of these clouds overhead, that snow still on the ground, and of course those absolutely frigid temperatures. Keeping an eye on these clouds as they drift through areas along and north of I-64 especially, because this is where we are running into some flurries flying here and there, so don't be surprised if you see those. We'll add in more clouds for everyone once you roll into the afternoon, keeping some flurries in the forecast then as well. And then we'll talk about temperatures today jumping into the 20s for afternoon highs, staying in the 20s overnight before we add in a bit of a wintry mix for portions, but not all of your Friday. And keep in mind, for those of you east of I-65 on Friday, you have a better chance to see some minor accumulations. But as of right now, with temperatures warming into the 30s and low 40s tomorrow, we're not expecting any major impacts, but that is still something that we'll continue to monitor. Flurries flying in the portions of your Saturday. That moisture coming off of the Great Lakes could keep some clouds around for some of us as well. Then once we get into next week, we'll warm up as we add back in some rain to our forecast.
Good morning and happy Thursday to you, or as I like to call it, Friday Eve. It's basically already the weekend, right? We still have plenty of other things to get to here on Sunrise Extra. We'll be talking about some of the victims on the Epstein files and a latest settlement they've made with the Justice Department. Plus, we know the Winter Olympics starting tomorrow, and then, of course, Super Bowl happening over the weekend. And then on top of all that, we're still in the middle of basketball season, so we'll get to all of that coming up in just a few short minutes. But first, a bill named after Bardstown missing mother, Crystal Rogers, took its first steps, and it passed out of committee in Frankfort. Her family was there for this. The bill is designed to strengthen procedures around grand jury proceedings by preventing anyone attending a grand jury hearing from knowingly recording the proceeding or sharing any information gathered. It would expand the statute of limitations from 1 year to 10 years. It comes after it was revealed Brooks Houck's family secretly recorded grand jury proceedings, but did not face any punishment because the statute of limitations had expired. Crystal Rogers' mother, Sherry Ballard, says the bill could have helped her family.
I just feel that the 1 year statute of limitation is not compliable with something as important as a grand jury hearing. And I can only pray that each of you can only imagine what my family has been through. And I'm asking each of you to support House Bill 305 and that you know how very important this bill is to me.
Houck was sentenced to life in prison for conspiracy to murder in the Rogers case. The bill now moves to the full House for consideration. The Indiana Supreme Court is denying an appeal from former Clark County Councilman John Miller. Miller is charged with breaking Indiana's conflict of interest law by accepting gifts from disgraced Clark County Sheriff Jamie Knoll while voting several times to fund Knoll's EMS contracts with Clark County. His lawyers appealed the case against him, arguing the state needed to show Miller received money from Knoll's contract, and he hadn't. The courts rejected that argument, saying it would be for a jury to decide. A new trial date has not been set. He's the last person connected to the Knoll investigation facing trial. 2 notaries appeared in court for the first time after they were arrested over the weekend for selling fake temporary car tags online. Joanne Smith and D'Angelo Thomas are facing a dozen charges for allegedly selling more than 70 fake tags. Police say those fake car tags are often used in other crimes to help suspects avoid arrest. A judge entered a not guilty plea for both Smith and Thomas yesterday. They're expected back in court on March 31st. Meanwhile, a third person has been arrested for the involvement in selling fake temporary tags. 31-year-old Terrence Whitehead was arrested yesterday. His arrest slip says he made a post on Facebook Marketplace that he was selling temporary tags. An undercover officer contacted Whitehead about buying 2 of them and agreed to meet at a home on South 37th Street. But before the officer handed over the money, detectives with the sheriff's office approached Whitehead and he ran away. Officers were eventually able to catch up with him. He's now facing several charges, including producing an illegal temporary tag and fleeing from police. The city of Louisville has signed a letter of intent to pay $6 million for a piece of property in the South End. If the deal goes through, the 92-acre property would house a training facility for fire, police, and EMS. The property is on Dixie Highway near the Stonegate Mobile Home Park. Metro Council member Khalil Batchen and the rest of the council's minority caucus have spearheaded the project and are hoping the state's General Assembly will help pay for it. He says not only will it benefit local departments, but departments all throughout the region.
And with it being a great opportunity and the state and the General Assembly getting behind this, as well as the mayor's administration getting behind this, it's huge because now we can also not just utilize it for LMPD, fire, and EMS. We can use it as a regional facility to West Point or Hardin County.
Batchen estimates the whole facility will cost around $50 million. The city has until July 1st to close on the deal once they know more about the state funding. Kentucky animal advocates are asking state lawmakers to take action as the state now ranks the 4th lowest state in the U.S. for animal welfare protection laws. In an effort to speak up for the voiceless victims of animal abuse and extreme neglect, more than 100 animal advocates, including teenagers, gathered for Kentucky Animal Action Day at the state capitol. The groups say most abusers in Kentucky never face consequences for their actions, and many continue to own animals after the abuse has been reported, continuing that cycle of abuse and costing taxpayers hundreds of thousands of dollars each year. One advocate says everyone can learn from dogs and animals because they never give up on their loved ones.
I think we should never give up on them because they don't give up on us. They are a source of unconditional love. They're so resilient. They're more than their story, and they deserve more from us. It's a sign of humanity. And if we can learn a lot from them. And if we can see the good and be the good in the world, just like them, then we start to make changes.
Expert and student speakers address the current state of animal welfare in Kentucky, how residents can advocate for change, the importance of cost of care legislation, and the importance of spay and neuter PSAs in Kentucky. A major investment in the city will soon be benefiting Louisville's youngest learners. The PNC Foundation is awarding a $250,000 grant to the Louisville Free Public Library. The 2-year grant will expand early literacy programs, offering enhanced story times, new learning materials, and improved children's areas. Programming supported by the grant will take place at 10 libraries across the city. City leaders hope it will get more kids ready for school. You can learn more information and story times at lfpl.org. The House Standing Committee on Primary and Secondary Education has approved House Bill 44. The bill would establish a robotics program trust fund in the state treasury. This would allow the state treasury to award grants to programs promoting hands-on learning, establishing community partnerships, highlighting career opportunities, and establishing connections to manufacturing, machining, and fabrication skills for high school students. Representative Chris Lewis, who sponsored the bill, says, quote, robotics education in Kentucky has already produced outstanding outcomes for the students involved. It's our time for the Commonwealth to provide this opportunity to students across all 171 school districts. A bill to change how students' academic performance in Kentucky is judged has made it out of committee. House Bill 257 would alter the state accountability and assessment system in 4 significant ways. First, it would provide a reduction in state testing. It would also change the state accountability indicator to track the individual growth of students. It would allow districts to adopt local indicators of quality, allowing the community to be more engaged in education. And finally, it would prioritize attendance in the accountability and assessment model. If fully passed, Kentucky would join 36 states that already utilize chronic absenteeism as an accountability measure. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back with more Sunrise Extra in just 2 minutes. The U.S. Justice Department is feeling pressure after reports from Epstein survivors that their private information was revealed in the latest release of documents. Federal officials say they acted swiftly to fix the errors, and lawyers representing those survivors say they reached a resolution over their concerns. But there's also concern for what some are calling the over-redaction of important details, specifically people believed to have aided Jeffrey Epstein. CNN's MJ Lee reports.
The Justice Department under fire tonight, facing criticism for over-redacting information about individuals who may have aided Jeffrey Epstein. In a 2014 email released in the files, a person writes to Epstein, quote, "Thank you for a fun night. Your littlest girl was a little naughty." But the identity of the individual who wrote that message is redacted. And in this image of Epstein's inner circle from the files, we see associates like convicted co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell and Epstein's assistant Leslie Groff, but several others in the graphic are blacked out. The release files also showed numerous email exchanges that appear to describe the procurement of women. New Brazilian just arrived, sexy and cute, 19 years old. A 2013 email to Epstein reads from someone at a Paris modeling agency. That sender's name,
It seems like we're having some technical issues with the rest of that video. House Speaker Mike Johnson said Wednesday that President Trump shouldn't have to testify in the House's Jeffrey Epstein investigation, despite the president's name appearing more than 1,000 times in the Epstein files released by the Justice Department. The Trump administration is expected to launch a new prescription drug online platform today. The website will be named Trump RX. The new prescription site will allow patients to buy certain medicines at a discounted price directly from drug makers. It's unclear if the direct-to-consumer purchases will be lower for those who forego the insurance route and pay in cash. President Trump has been pushing for lower healthcare costs. He says he's landed deals with nearly 20 pharmaceutical companies to list certain products on the Trump RX portal. The White House border czar says 700 Homeland Security employees are withdrawing from Minneapolis immediately. Tom Homan says about 2,000 will remain in the area, focusing on the administration's immigration crackdown. He says he wants a complete drawdown as soon as possible. Homan says the administration hopes to deploy body cameras for agents nationwide, though Minneapolis is their priority. Well, we are going to be right back with some of our sports headlines. We have the Olympics, the Super Bowl, and basketball season to talk about, so plenty more to get to. Stick with us. The countdown is on to Super Bowl 60. We know it will be the Seattle Seahawks taking on the New England Patriots in this one. Some people watch for the game, others just like the food. Maybe it's the halftime show for you. That's my case this year, big Bad Bunny fan now. And then a lot of people, though, watch for the commercials. That's because it is consistently the most watched television event in the U.S. each year. So there's a lot of pressure on advertisers who spend millions of dollars on those commercials. Jen Sullivan sits down with one beer company's marketing department to learn more about their craft in making a Super Bowl commercial.
When it comes to Super Bowl commercials,
Why didn't they invite us? Well, we're salty.
the competition to win your attention may be just as fierce as the competition on the field.
When you talk about the Super Bowl, the pressure is always high.
Ricardo Marquez is the vice president of marketing for Michelob Ultra, one of the many beer brands that's owned by Anheuser-Busch. This year's ad is called the Ultra Instructor, featuring big names like Kurt Russell,
Strap in.
and Lewis Pullman, who skis against NHL player and former Olympian TJ Oshie and gold medalist Chloe Kim for the ultimate prize, not having to pick up the bar tab.
Here we have the opportunity to connect with an audience of 100+ million consumers.
Last year, more than 127 million people on average in the U.S. tuned into the Super Bowl, according to Nielsen. It's consistently the most watched event on television every year. For marketing companies, it's a whole year of planning on the line that boils down to 30, or in this case, 60 seconds on the clock.
This was a multi-month process.
And it comes with a multi-million-dollar price tag. NBC, which is carrying the big game this year, says some companies are paying upwards of $10 million for a 30-second spot. And while Michelob Ultra won't release what they paid, they did say it's a big financial investment, which is why their team spends an entire year working on it.
Humor, nostalgia, or inspiration, emotion always wins on the Super Bowl stage.
Marcus says while you want to create something memorable, the ultimate goal is promoting your product. They also measure success by how much buzz the commercial gets online, which is why many companies now release their ads ahead of the Super Bowl. And Monday morning, it's back to the drawing board to come up with next year's big idea. For Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
Those commercials are always so good and so funny. And remember, you can watch the Super Bowl on Wave and NBC. Athletes across the globe are preparing for another major sporting event. We're talking about the Olympics, of course. The U.S. women's ice hockey team got in practice time as they begin their quest for the glory for gold. Now, 4 years ago, the women grabbed their 4th silver medal at the Winter Olympic Games in Beijing. The gold just out of reach. They dropped a 3-2 contest to arch rivals Canada in that deciding game. But there is at least some consistency in that the U.S. squad has medaled in all 7 Olympic appearances to date. The players say they're ready to compete after nearly 4 years of grueling training.
It's an honor. Super exciting. I've heard from so many. My first grade teacher is going to be here, which is super cool. But yeah, it's so proud. I think also too, just like all the young kids watching, seeing, knowing, what's possible. Doesn't really matter where you come from. You put your mind to it, you work hard, you can accomplish anything, and hopefully they can see a version of that through these games, whether it's through us or different athletes.
Her first grade teacher going out to Italy to support her. How cool is that? Team USA begins the Olympic tournament against Czechia today. There are some events that have started before the opening ceremonies, and the Winter Olympics opening ceremony is tomorrow. The Winter Olympics events, though, begin at 7 p.m. Olympic events include ski jumping, figure skating, luge, curling, and so much more. It's always fascinating to see what kind of sports are out there. Some of them that we've never tried or maybe even never seen before. Here in Louisville, the U of L men's basketball team was back in action, looking to get back into the wins column at the KFC Yum Center as they hosted Notre Dame last night. The Fighting Irish started this one on fire, jumping out to an early 10-2 lead, but the Cards fought back, tied the game at 16, then going on to take a 6-point lead into halftime. Notre Dame would cut that lead down to 3 before the Cards opened it up, going on a 14-0 run, leading by as much as 19 points in the second half. Behind 5 players in double digits, U of L won the game. Final score 76-65. They're back in action Saturday at Wake Forest with tip-off set for noon. The UK men's basketball team also in action, taking on an Oklahoma team that sat dead last in the SEC standings, also riding an 8-game losing streak. The first half in this one was back and forth all the way up until the last 4 minutes. That saw the Cats go on an 11-2 run, taking an 11-point lead into halftime. In the second, the Cats were on cruise control as the lead was only in the single digits for a total of 35 seconds. They had control of this one. UK went on to win this one by a final score of 94-78, including their 7th win in their last 8 games. They look to ride this momentum into the weekend, taking on Tennessee in Lexington. That one is at 8:30. And you have another chance to see some men's college hoops in our area tonight. The Bellarmine Knights will be back in Knights Hall. Bellarmine comes into this one winning 2 straight conference games after defeating West Georgia and Queen's University by a total of 6 points combined between those 2 games. A win tonight would earn them their first 3-game winning streak in the Division I era since winning the ASUN championship in 2022. The Knights sit in a 5-way tie for 5th place in the ASUN, which is very important because the top 4 teams in the standings earn a bye in the conference tournament in Jacksonville. So Bellarmine will host Stetson at 7 o'clock, and you can watch that on ESPN+. You know, I'm a former Knight. Go Knights. I'm cheering them on. But before we know it, Derby will be here. So you can get your tickets for Derby week and the entire spring meet at Churchill Downs. Those tickets go on sale at noon today. And that even includes tickets for 5-0 Tuesday, Wednesday, and Derby. For the first time since 2010, Churchill Downs will bring back racing on the Sunday before Derby. And racing opens up on Saturday. So post time for the first race of opening day is set for 12:45. And this is the first time in 15 years that racing will happen on that Sunday, which is April 26th. The 152nd spring meet will span 9 weeks from April 25th through June 28th with more than 44 racing days. Kentucky Derby week will run from April 25th through May 2nd with no racing happening on Monday. That is the one day the track will be quiet. And you can get your tickets today at KentuckyDerby.com/Derby Week. Yeah, start getting ready for Derby already because it sneaks up on us every year. Thanks so much for joining us here for Sunrise Extra. I hope you have a great Thursday, and tomorrow is Friday. Can't wait. Hopefully we're going to have some warmer weather as the day goes on, and our storm tracking team will be tracking that for you here on Wave Now. But for now, thanks so much. Have a great day.